with Simon Potvin, President of Wood Processing at Bid Group. Simon, we're so happy to have you here, and we can't wait to hear a little bit more about what you do for the industry and what Bid Group does for the industry. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate that.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. I understand you're kind of a powerhouse with wood processing in the South. Who are you? What do you do? What does Bid Group do?
So first, personally, I'm leading within Bid Group. We got two divisions. One is really wood processing. The other one is construction. We're building complete turnkey mills. And what we do in the wood processing division is basically delivering, I would say, probably close to 98, 99% of the equipment that the sawmill will need, sawmill, planer mill, kilns. And we're doing this and offering all the services and reliability and aftermarket and all that for this.
And how long have you been in this industry? I feel like you've been here a little bit.
Yeah. I started right out of mechanical engineering school into Comact in 1990. So it's going to be 34 years in June this year, and went through all sorts of different positions, starting as an equipment designer and project manager, running some operations, running sales. And through the years, got to go out. We first started more in Quebec, really, and at the end of the 1990s, starting of 2000, we started to go in Western Canada, started to go into a little bit into the South as well. We got to work with high-tech engineering at the time. We owned that company for a period of time, and that was our first real contact with the Southern culture and the Southern yellow pine. And then through the years, again, in 2013, Bid Group, which was basically a construction company from Western Canada, bought Comact at the time and joined the two companies to create a large corporations that would be able to sell complete turnkey facilities, greenfield facilities all over North America. And the strategy at the time was really to install ourselves in the South. We started the facility in South Carolina in September 13. And from there, we started building first smaller jobs, smaller planer mills. And then through the years, we're probably up to 15 turnkey mills, either greenfield planer mills or complete greenfield sites of sawmill, kilns, and planer mill in operation, and a few more to come that we're still working on manufacturing, building, or commissioning now.
I think Comact this is an exciting year for them, right? Isn't there a big anniversary?
Yeah. Comact, we're celebrating our 100-year anniversary this year. So that company was started in 1924 here in Beauce, where I live in Quebec, in the middle of South Quebec, an hour from the border, the U.S. border, close to Jackman, Maine. And this was started, 100 years ago by someone that was named Joe Cote. And his first things that he was doing as an entrepreneur was doing some maple taps. So basically, little components that we use to put in maple trees to get the sap out, and so that we can get maple syrup. And through the years, we did some work on the milk side, on the farmer side, and slowly get into the wood product business. And here we are, 100 years later. A leader in the world in sawmill equipment manufacturing, still owning the two letters, the C and O and the T of our name, Comact. The CO is for Cote, and the T at the end is the T of Cote. So we're still carrying the name there in our overall brand name of Comact.
Well, wonderful. Yeah, 100 years is a big deal. So you talked about getting into the South. What is it that you enjoy about working in the forest products industry? What is it about the culture, the product, and what is it about Southern pine that you like? What is so cool and interesting about the Southern pine lumber industry?
A couple of things for sure. As a mechanical engineer, and today I don't do a lot of calculations or anything like that, but I still do a lot of mill design. I still do a lot of work on the flow and working with our R&D and designer group to try to get the next things out there and try to get the mills that we put out there to be more performant and remove people, make them safer, make them more reliable, optimize them. And what I like about that compared to other business is, very, very quickly you can turn things around. It's not like we're not limiting in weight. We're not limited in, there's not a lot of regulations that we have to follow. We don't have, we don't have a very, hard engineering, background like the pulp and paper would have, where it's very, it's some stuff that's been out there for 20, 30, 40 years, and it's very tough to change the processes and all because it's a continuous process that's tough to change without hurting a bunch of other different things. So I really appreciate that portion of it where you can really challenge the processes. You can be creative. I really like we really have two customer base, and it's across North America. I would say it's across the world. You get these private owners, that could be first, second, third generations that you deal with, and they have their own little recipe and they have their way of working, and you get to work with them and understand their needs and what they believe in and all that, and try to basically merge your thinking to their thinking and come up with something that would make them feel good, and that would make them feel that the next generation is still going to be there, and that you're going to be part of a good story, not part of a bad one. And so this part is a lot of fun to me, working with these people that have been out there for years and years and build their own companies. And then you got the larger corporations that you need to go in there and match what their overall plan is, and understand what they're trying to do overall in the whole company. And you got a lot of them today that we're dealing with, and we've been dealing with them for 25 years in Western Canada, that are now in the South US, and they're bringing some culture, and we're part of that. We were part of helping them build what they have in the West, in Western Canada, and we're carrying that in the South with them. And it's a different approach for sure. You got more of a corporation approach and the corporate approach to these guys, but still you need to get at the mill level and make sure that you get the buy-in from everyone that's at the mill there, because for anyone that's been doing projects and improvements in sawmills, if you don't get the buy-in from the people on site, from the people that are going to be running and maintaining the equipment, you're not going to be successful.
Well, and it's funny you say that. Everybody I've talked to and everybody I've met in this industry, as big as the forest products and even the southern pine lumber industry is, it's all about people. The people are what make the difference in this industry, right? But you've mentioned you have a lot of experience in this industry. You mentioned that change can be a little bit slow just because of what we do. But even though you are so entrenched in this industry, I'm sure you come across surprises. So what still surprises you in the forest products and southern pine lumber community?
Good question. What still surprises me? Man, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. Yeah, I would say how tough it is for these people. And I would say particularly in the South, there's probably more competition there in the South for people. How tough it is for these people to keep their teams out there, to keep their people. Right. I grown, I was born in Quebec, and the first 10 years of my career were working in Quebec, basically in sawmills in Quebec, with putting projects out there. And you go back to these mills 20 years later, and a bunch of the people that were there when you did a project are still there. And it's small communities, and people stay there for a long time, where it seems to me that it's been very, very difficult, at least in some areas in the South, for these people to maintain that group of people that are going to make them successful long term. And it's probably one of the main reasons why we've had to work on a lot of development, on a lot of tools, on training, on support from distance, being able to have these mills connected so that we can quickly come in and help them go back to production, help them fix something without putting someone in a plane and or sending a pickup truck and losing a day or two before they go back to production. And all these things we were forced, and not only us, I would say the industry was forced to be able to support their customer base because of that how tough it is to have the highly skilled manpower to stay there. And because there's probably a bunch of reasons, and others would be better than me to talk about that. But certainly the fact that it's a cycling business. So if you're highly technical, and the business gets low for a period of time, and there's no investment, and there's nothing new coming in the middle, I guess it's tough to keep these guys excited. Then they just go and find something else to do. They go somewhere else where they can get excited and they can get exposed to new technologies. And so these cycles are probably something that's making it tough for our customer base to maintain their highly skilled people.
Well, let me ask you this then. That's a good point. What are you most excited about for then this year in 24? We talked about the technology, we talked about the improvements and the constant advancements in how sawmills are operating. What are you most excited for this year?
I would say for this year it's certainly a transition year. We came out of a couple of years that were absolutely crazy. Everybody in our business, every equipment manufacturer probably had a 2 to 3 year backlog for a period of time, and this has went away slowly as the business, the lumber market's been tougher for our customers. And we're really in a year where it's more about, I would say, smaller investment, high return investment. We're doing a couple of robotic projects, so projects where you can run operations with 10, 15 less people in some areas, and still doing the exact same thing, but replacing people. And sometimes I say replacing people. Sometimes it's just being able to run because they don't even have the people to run it. They have to shut down shift or have big compromise on what they do because they don't have the people to run everything they would like to run. So we're coming in with robotics, replacing some of that stuff. What's really exciting, and I think it's all, we hear about it, we read about it, and we don't always understand how important it is in our industry as well. But all the artificial intelligence stuff, all the AI, it's our technology. I almost wish I was born 30 years later, so that I could be a young engineer. I could be a young engineer exposed to the AI, exposed to the IoT, all these connected mills. I come from a time where you would be there with just taking time on stuff and with a pad and taking notes like that for hours of how good you were doing and all that. Today we can track all that live, and we got history of days and hours. We can go down to the minute and all. Anyway, we got all that, and the AI is really changing in a lot of areas in the mill where we have that all that data that we've had for years, the optimization data, the control data. We know what the mill is producing. We understand the lumber that's coming out, but it's very tough for a human being to take all that and try to figure out what any changes in the parameters you have, what impacts it will have on the outcome with all these multiple parameters but the AI, you can build now things where with all that data, you can easily understand what small changes will do to the outcome of the mill, and you can be way more predictive on if you want something out of the mill, you can have a set of parameters that will be pushed to you so that you can use. So anyway, it's both on the preventive maintenance, on the bringing the uptime higher in the mills, controlling the flow better, and then making sure you get the product that you want to sell to your customers. The AI in our company today, the AI is influencing all of these different sectors. It's not, it started a few years back. Everybody was saying they have AI in the optimizers, and that's true. But today it's AI in the optimizer is like bread and butter. It's what you
Right.
do with the AI and everywhere else in the mill. Now we're starting to use it in all these different sectors. So that's very exciting. So all that automation, all that that feedback that we have, like that understanding of what's going on in the mill, and as a group that has lots of experience, we probably have 150 engineers working for us in all different sectors. We can and I would say thousands of years of experience, with sawdust in our boots. So we're in a great position to take all of that experience and build it into these models so that these mills get way more efficient doing that with a little bit less or a lot less input from an experienced guy sitting at the mill. And
So
I think that's really where we're going with that. You're really going into taking more action directly with our know-how on the equipment.
Simon, you're super excited about where this is going, and I love all the talk about the AI and automation, because that is revolutionizing an industry that I think a lot of people thought is, well, we just take a saw blade and just cut up wood and it ends
Yeah.
up at Lowe's, right? So I think it's really cool that there's so much excitement for that, but at the same time, it goes back to what you were saying. For anybody who's listening or watching or reading this interview, there's a lot of opportunity in this industry. There's a lot of cool things going on. So don't overlook it and don't sleep on it. We are almost out of time, but I wanted to ask you real quick, in summary, I asked you about what you're excited for this year. Where do you see the Southern Pine lumber industry in 10 years? Just 10 years, because anything more would be crazy to kind of predict.
Uh, I think there's going to be some more consolidation. I think we've built a lot of new facilities. There's probably a few more that will come. And people are going to have to work at consolidating some operations. I don't know. Shutting down a few facilities, putting a bigger one somewhere in a site, and stuff like that. I think as in tougher markets, people will realize that to compete, you get to get to that level of automation and performance and all that. Um, Certainly don't see the lumber go away. I think people are going to use wood to build more and more. I think the CLT is bringing more of that. I think that the use of wood is certainly more and more seen as being green. And I love that part of it. I've been promoting that with my kids, and I see them talking about that now. And surely, I see that coming more and more. So the trees are there. The trees are still growing pretty well in the south. And certainly believe that there's going to be more of these mills and more consolidation in the higher tech mills, which a little bit, and my team, if some of my team listen to that, they will laugh, but a little bit like iPads. We put more technology in mills, but we're putting more technology to make them easier to use. And I always
Right.
compare the iPad to the computer. You can give an iPad to your granddad or whoever that's 80 years old, and after 15 minutes is going to figure it out. You're giving a computer, and it's going to take weeks. He may never be able to figure it out. So we're trying to build our mills so that they become closer to an iPad or something that's that easy to use. You don't need to understand everything that's in there. You just need to trust that it's going to work every day, and it's going to do the right things for you every day.
And the biggest takeaway from all of that, all great stuff, but that wood is good. Wood is always going to be around. People are finally catching on the sustainability. That's a whole nother conversation about the sustainability, and with that move towards green building, Southern Pine is positioned for that. So I'm glad you agree. 10 years from now, we're going to be even better than what we are now. So
Absolutely.
Simon, I really appreciate this. This was a great conversation, some great insight. And we'll talk soon. Thanks again for being
Thanks.
here.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate that.
Have a good one.
Thank you.